Chapter 93. Listen and repeat. Conversation. What's she doing? She's making a TV commercial. Is she doing anything else? She's also auditioning for a part in a play. Is she busy these days? She's making a TV commercial. Furthermore, she's auditioning for a part in a play. What did he think of the hotel? He thought the hotel was expensive. What about the service? He didn't like the service either. Did he like the hotel? He thought the hotel was expensive. Moreover, he didn't like the service. Why did he stay at home? He stayed at home because he wasn't feeling well. Was there any other reason? He hadn't done his homework either. What were his reasons for staying at home? He stayed at home because he wasn't feeling well. Besides, he hadn't done his homework. Did he take the car to the garage? He took the car to the garage several times. What was wrong with it? The mechanic couldn't find out what was wrong with it. What happened about his car? He took the car to the garage several times. However, the mechanic couldn't find out what was wrong with it. What did she have on? She had on her fur coat. Was she warm enough? No, she wasn't. What was the matter with her? She had on her fur coat. Even so, she wasn't warm enough. Did he lose the election? Yes, he did. What did he do then? He took a job as a businessman. What happened to him in the election? He lost the election. Therefore, he took a job as a businessman. He failed the exam. He had to repeat the course. He failed the exam. Consequently, he had to repeat the course. He doesn't like parties. He stays at home almost every night. He doesn't like parties. Accordingly, he stays at home almost every night. They're going to build a new motorway. If they don't, traffic will come to a standstill. They're going to build a new motorway. Otherwise, traffic will come to a standstill. Vocabulary. A number of accordingly, agreement, besides, commercial, noun, consequently, driving school, election, even so, firstly, fur, noun, furthermore, incidentally, joy, noun, last, adverb, mad, many, noun, moreover, prospect, noun, proud of, second-hand, adjective, secondly, standstill, steering wheel, teenage, adjective. That's it. Verbs. To add on to. Audition. To. Daydream. To find out. To have on. To take a job. Mad. This adjective appears in many verbal expressions and takes on different meanings depending on the complements that follow it. English expressions. To be mad with fear, joy, to be mad about someone/something, to become/go/run mad, to drive/send someone mad, like mad. Idiom. Dialogue. A number of teenagers have cars of their own nowadays. The Browns are talking about getting a car for their son Mark. Mrs. Brown. Guess where I went today? Mr. Brown. Well, I don't know. To the shopping center, I suppose? Did you find a really great bargain? Mrs. Brown. No, that's not it. Mr. Brown. Well, where did you go then? Mrs. Brown. I took Mark for his driving test. Mr. Brown. Driving test? He's only a child. He can hardly see over the steering wheel. Mrs. Brown. He's 17 years old, and he's taller than you are. Mr. Brown. He's still just a child. Mrs. Brown. Aren't you even going to ask if he passed the test? Mr. Brown. All right, all right. Did Mark pass his driving test? Mrs. Brown. He certainly did, and I was so proud of him. He didn't even make one mistake. Mr. Brown. Well, I have to admit that they do a good job in that driving school. I never could have taught him to drive. It would have made me too nervous. Mrs. Brown: Then, on our way home, we stopped at that second-hand car place on Western Avenue. Mr. Brown: No, definitely and absolutely no. We are not going to buy Mark a car. Mrs. Brown: We saw some really great bargains. Mr. Brown: That's not the kind of bargain I'm interested in. When you add on insurance and petrol and repairs, it isn't such a bargain anymore. Not to mention the danger. All these mad teenage drivers. Mrs. Brown: He's really a very good driver. And some of the other boys are getting cars of their own. That Wilson boy down the street got a new Mini for his birthday. Mr. Brown: Well, Mark is not going to get a car for his birthday. That's all there is to it. Mrs. Brown: Of course, dear, if that's what you say. Mr. Brown: Well, it is what I say. Notes. Note 1. Notice the particular structure of the sentences "not to mention the danger" and "all these mad teenage drivers." In the first case, we have a subordinate clause without the main clause it depends on. In the second case, the verb is not expressed, and it can easily be reconstructed as are mad teenage drivers. The use of grammatically incomplete or unfinished sentences is typical of spoken English, where the listener can easily reconstruct the intended meaning. In this sense, the sentence, "and some of the other boys are getting cars of their own," is also typical of spoken language, where "and" introduces a remark meaning, well. Note 2. The expression, "that Willis boy down the street," can be rendered as, "that boy from the Willis family who lives down our street." Note 3. The expression, "that's all there is to it," is often used to end a discussion and means "that's everything" or "that's all." Grammar coordinators. John plays the guitar and his sister plays the piano. I may see you tomorrow or may phone later in the day. Dick was not there, but his sister was. Jane didn't waste her time before the exam, but studied hard every evening. Explanation. A sentence, period, always contains a main clause, to which we can add coordinated or subordinate clauses. A coordinated clause is connected to the main clause and stands on the same grammatical level. It can make sense even if separated. In English, there are three main coordinating conjunctions: conjunction and, or, but. Common features. And, or, but always appear at the beginning of the coordinated clause. Sentences beginning with these conjunctions should not start a paragraph unless for a special stylistic reason. And, or, but cannot be preceded by another conjunction, but they can be followed by adverbs to clarify meaning. When the subject of the coordinated clause is the same as in the main clause, it is usually omitted. Grammar adverbs as connectors. I'd like you to do two things for me. First, phone the office and tell them I'll be late. Secondly, order a taxi to be here in about half an hour. I don't like that new dictionary. Besides, it's too expensive. I haven't seen your brother for months. By the way, do you know when he will come back? I'll be back tomorrow. That is, I hope to be back. The bay was polluted by oil. Consequently, they couldn't swim there anymore. Do what you've been told, otherwise you will be punished. Jimmy doesn't study at all. Instead, he sits and daydreams. I want to stay at home tonight. However, you can go to the cinema if you want to. Explanation. Two or more sentences can be related not only by coordinating conjunctions, and, or, but also by adverbs used as connectors, which function as linking elements. Unlike conjunctions, these adverbs can start a new sentence, that is, follow a full stop. Adverbs may also follow conjunctions, and, or, but. For example, he was unhappy about it, and yet he did what he was told. In clauses introduced by adverbs, the subject cannot be omitted, even if it is the same as in the main clause. Classification. English connectors. Enumeration, listing points. First, firstly. Second, secondly. Next, then. Finally, last, lastly. To begin with, to start with. Addition. Also, to, as well. Furthermore, moreover. Besides, in addition, additionally, what is more. Digression. By the way. Incidentally, by the by. Explanation/example. That is, in other words, namely, for instance, for example, e.g., i.e. Result/consequence. Consequently, therefore, so, thus, as a result, accordingly, hence. Condition/alternative. Otherwise, in that case, if not, alternatively. Contrast/opposition. Instead, however, nevertheless, nonetheless, still, yet, even so, anyhow, anyway, all the same, in any case, on the other hand, in contrast, conversely.